Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today's case is that of Becci Hughes, an intelligent and vibrant mom, friend, and colleague. Becci was found deceased on her sofa by her fiancé's parents in the early hours of July 25, 2022. Disturbingly, her two boys were also found at the scene, but, thankfully, they were physically unharmed. Who could have been capable of committing such an appalling act and why? We will look at the chain of events, possible motivations, the inquest and coroner's court findings, and any warning signs of the violence that was to come. To maintain their privacy, I will refer to people outside of the immediate family by their initials only. Before we dive into the details, please take a moment to subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps keep these stories alive. For those of you listening on podcast, you will be able to hear video audio, but CCTV is visual only. Becci, aged 37, and her partner Ben Crosby, 46, met in 2015, and at the time of the murder they were living together with her two sons in Beverley, East Yorkshire. Beverley is a market town in the East Riding of Yorkshire, England. Its population is 31,000. I know this town very well, having lived there until 2019. The town contains several notable landmarks, including Beverley Minster and the Westwood, where cows roam free, and as a side note, usually know when you need to drive anywhere and stand in the middle of the road. It also has the North Bar Gatehouse, which you are supposed to hold your breath whilst walking through, and Beverley Racecourse. As far as work went, Becci was studying physics at the University of Hull and also worked as a waitress at the Fire Pit in Beverley. Crosby had a sports massage business called Alleviate, and when I was researching this case, it seemed he still had his LinkedIn profile up. Events leading up to Becci's death. Becci started working at the Fire Pit in May 2022 and was allegedly having an affair with one of the chefs, and Crosby had found out. However, they agreed to stay together and even got engaged in Hornsey on Crosby's birthday on June 30, 2022. Remember the place name Hornsey, as it will come up again later. On July 24th, a day before her murder, Becci sent 8 text messages to this unnamed chef, saying, "I can't get over you. I'm trying, but I can't." She also told him that her partner, Crosby, was fine and had got over it, but he didn't believe that to be the case, as Becci had previously told him she was splitting up from Crosby, who was jealous. She stated that she wanted to be single, but later, that changed to apparently staying together for the sake of their children. Shortly afterwards, the chef was sent anonymous texts warning him to stay away. A work colleague later testified that he had seen Becci and Crosby in the street. He was raising his voice and had hold of her upper arm, and definitely not in a loving way. He also stated that Becci seemed to seek excuses to stay at work, where she felt she could have more fun. Crosby's former partner said she noticed that he was quiet and acting totally out of character. In a call on July 18th, he told her that Becci had admitted to the affair and said she'd stop. But despite the reassurances, they believed the affair continued. Despite all this eyewitness commentary, Crosby's father told an inquest that during a trip to look at potential wedding venues, he told me he was suspicious and he was sure she was still having an affair. She was always on the phone laughing and giggling. The day before and Becci's murder. Senior Investigating Officer DCI Alan Curtis said the 37-year-old mother of 2 had been working at the Fire Pit Beverley pub and restaurant that night, which would have been July 24, when Crosby arrived at the bar. She finished work at 9 p.m., and the two were seen drinking briefly before leaving for their Salmon Road home. At around 1:45 a.m., which now takes us into July 25, Becci and Crosby were seen on CCTV leaving their home, but were believed to have returned to her Salmon Road address again. Between 1:45 a.m., when they were seen leaving their house, and 5:50 a.m., Becci would be repeatedly stabbed and bludgeoned with a baseball bat. We know that at 5:50 a.m., Becci was deceased, as Crosby rang his parents to tell them what he had done, and that he had messed up and killed Becci. And that quote, I can't do time. She flipped my switch. His parents subsequently rushed to the couple's house on Salmon Road, found Becci slumped on the sofa, and saw that Crosby's last will and testament was prominent on the kitchen table. 10 minutes later, at 6 a.m., after his confession and in response to his father going to call the police, Crosby stated, "I'm gone," and left the scene in his car, a VW Polo. Horrified neighbors told how her partner's 2 young children were at the house at the time. Locals have now expressed their shock at fitness fanatic Becci's killing. One said, "My mum saw out at the window at about 6:30 in the morning someone getting carried away on a stretcher. There were 2 small children, one with a stuffed animal." Crosby's fleeing from the scene of Becci's body and the 2 children sparked a huge police operation involving several police cars, including 4 armed response cars, who set out on a manhunt to find him. A point to note here is that UK police are not routinely armed like many other countries. Depending on where you live or grew up, I'd love to know if your regular police officers are armed. In just 30 minutes, police tracked Crosby's car on the A34 near Hornsey. This is a single-lane, twisty road, and Crosby was apparently traveling at 84 mph in a 30 mph zone. Crosby then drove onto the opposite side of the road, hitting a Ford Transit van head-on. This van was being driven by an unnamed male electrician who suffered life-changing injuries. Crosby died instantly. Due to Crosby's death, there obviously couldn't be a regular trial and sentencing, so 2 inquests were ordered, one being a police crash inquest and the other a coroner's court inquest for Becci. Before the police crash investigation, there were 2 theories surrounding this crash. One being, Crosby died accidentally after misjudging a corner at 54 over the speed limit. The other theory that makes more sense to me is self-exit, especially as the inquest reported there were no defects, both vehicles were roadworthy, and sun glare was not a factor. The van driver said it looked like Crosby, quote, "purposely turned onto my side of the road." He said, "I assumed the vehicle would correct its path, but it continued towards me." Sitting at Hull Coroner's Court, the jury asked to see the crash footage, which captured the split-second impact multiple times. Then, after only 3 hours, they concluded, by a majority of 8-2, that Crosby died accidentally after he negotiated a corner on the opposite carriageway and collided with a Ford Transit van. The conclusion of accidental death came despite the fact we have already heard that a police witness statement that the VW was already on the wrong side of the road. It appeared to me it turned into the van, and he did not see any brake lights. Another witness testified that they saw the van driver move onto the verge and the Volkswagen run straight at it. Forensic collision investigator Nicholas Brady Smith said, "Either the driver had some sort of distraction which led it to drift, or it is an intentional act." The driver of the van had to postpone his wedding, which was to have been held the following month, and has still not fully recovered. Fractures of the vertebrae, ribs, and pelvis. The Independent Office for Police Conduct watchdog later closed an investigation without further action. What do you think of this verdict? What do you think of the jury's verdict of accidental death? With the information we have, I believe, as I have already said, he was determined to self-exit at his own hand, or death by police, or unfortunately and very selfishly, using another innocent victim who just happened to be on the same road. And of course, let's not forget, he left his will and testament on the table before he said bye to his parents before the police arrived. Becci's inquest. A hearing at Hull Coroner's Court heard that Becci, aged 37, had been stabbed 26 times and suffered head trauma by a baseball bat before she died due to blood loss. Police also stated they believe Becci's attacker was her partner Crosby, who died as a result of him fleeing the scene. Police believed it was a DV-related incident. In the UK, 147 women were killed by male partners in 2021. It will affect 1 in 4 women and 1 in 6 men in their lifetime. This leads to, on average, 2 women being murdered each week and 30 men per year. I couldn't find any official reports that Crosby and Becci had had DV-related incidents before. But there do seem to be some reports of him drinking where she worked when she was on shift, and colleagues stating that they saw him grabbing her arms. I think this is a good place to go over the international hand signals for DV. We all need to be aware of these in the event that you or someone else needs to non-verbally ask for help. This is for any gender and any age.
Hey, you there? Can you hear me? If you can hear me, can you say something? Hello, can you hear me? Nothing.
Are you on the phone?
No. No, I'm not. I'm not.
Talking can be risky. Instead, try this. Amy is in danger. Her abuser is standing in the background, so she has to be very careful.
Oh, can you share that banana bread recipe?
First, keep the conversation going.
It's actually my mom's banana bread recipe, but it's pretty foolproof. And it's
Then, use this discreet hand gesture.
Well, I appreciate it. I know your mom is a great baker, so I should be good.
Created by the Canadian Women's Foundation, this discreet hand signal lets people know you're in danger. If you see this, call emergency services.
If you are watching on YouTube, please share this with friends and family. And if you are listening by audio only, please consider watching this brief section. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, please reach out for help. Resources are available, and no one should face this alone. But please remember to clear your search history or call log.
Tributes to Becci. Becci was one of those rare people you meet in life that just made everything more fun.
She always made sure to really get to know people as much as she could and made you feel so special.
She was fun, caring, and bright.
Becci was always the life and soul of the party, and we always had such a laugh.
When we were on shift together, she was always changing her hair to every color of the rainbow.
Such a lovely girl. My thoughts and love go out to her family and her children.
Finally, her university professor, Becci, said she achieved some of the highest marks that year and was passionate about equality and diversity, dedicating her own time to work on ways of widening participation in physics to people from disadvantaged backgrounds. He also said that passion was only matched by the passion that shone through when she was talking about her kids. It is those kids who have filled my thoughts. Let's finish with another reminder of who Becci was. She wasn't a headline or a statistic in a data file. She was intelligent, fun, caring mom and friend who will be so very missed. Thank you for watching, listening, and honoring Becci's memory with me. Let me know your thoughts about this case. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more cases that bring attention to stories that need to be told and don't always get the light shown on them that they should. Take care, stay safe, and look out for each other.